All right, everybody, welcome back to Brownie Post Game. I've got a special guest with me. I got Big Katt from Keep Pounding TV. He is like one of the, if not the biggest Panthers YouTuber, and he's going to enlighten us with everything going on in Carolina, getting us ready for this week 1 match up against our Brownies. Big Katt, welcome in, man.
Hey, everybody, I'm your host, Gato, also known as the Big Katt. My cool cat, put your balls up. It's a pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely, dude. I love the foam hat, everything like that. I'm kind of rocking some Panthers colors for you, just to offset, balance it.
Man, hopefully after I get done saying what I need to say, you'll be part of our crew.
I don't think I can't promise that. I couldn't turn off the Browns fanhood if I tried. I've tried to be like, all right, I'm gonna give up on the Browns, and you can't. It's in my blood. I don't know.
You guys got a little hope up there.
Well, first things first, I want to ask you, how excited are you guys about having 6 on your team now?
Man, you're talking about an injection of energy. You're talking about a, moderate quarterback play. He's not, I can't say he's elite, but he's a better quarterback than we had for a long time. But we're excited, man. We love his swagger. We love that big arm. We love his athleticism. We love his confidence. I like his bravado. You know what I mean? Just everything about the man just seems like, I don't know where they got it wrong. It seems like, a lot of people in Cleveland, former players, analysts, they really did them wrong, drug them through the mud here. I don't see what they were talking about.
Yeah, I can't speak for all Browns fans. I can tell you for myself that I think there's a lot of upside you guys are going to get with Baker. I think as long as he can stay healthy and that shoulder, that non-throwing shoulder, doesn't get dinged up again, you guys are getting a bargain. Plus, we're paying for half the dang contract, right?
That's always a good
Yeah, and so you got Baker there coming in. You got the young kid who's Darnold and Corral both hurt, right?
Yes, they're both hurt right now. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got to keep Baker upright, right?
Yeah, because we're not trying to see PJ Walker anytime.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be maybe practice squad guy or maybe even outright cut, and then now he's on the active roster.
There you go.
Yeah. What about how we feeling? I know that just a couple of minutes ago they said that Christian McCaffrey is good to go. He's clear, injury free. He's gonna play. Talk to me about the Panthers offense. What should we expect going into Carolina this weekend?
All right, so we're getting Ben McAdoo as our offensive coordinator. You got to remember the last time Ben McAdoo was an offensive coordinator, he was fired from the New York Giants. But the year before that, he coached Eli Manning, making them one of the most prolific offenses in the National Football League. Expect for the Carolina Panthers to go quick. Expect for them to establish the run game, and expect for Baker to take his shots. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of. They're not going to sit back and let Baker be a target. Obviously, this is a heated game. I know they're trying to downplay it. Where it's going to be a lot of hugs and a lot of smile with some of my old teammates. Yeah, whatever. It's going to be a lot of late hits. It's going to be a lot of sneaky snuff being done. So the game plan is really get the ball out of his hand quickly. Christian is going to be a nightmare matchup. All right. I know he's been in the injury report because he had a scratch on his leg. I don't know why that was reported, but it is. But the bottom line is Christian, when healthy, is the best running back in the National Football League. And I do like you guys, linebacking core. You got JOK up there, who I think is a really, 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 really good stud, but he's no matchup for Christian one-on-one. And I think you guys got a problem, especially coming out the backfield in the receiving game. You know what I mean? We just picked up Laviska Shenault. I don't know how much reps he'll get, but when he is up to speed, I think he's going to be a viable threat as well out the backfield.
Yeah, I think with you guys, everything goes through, from what I know. And I the only thing I really know about the Carolina Panthers is the fantasy stuff. And with Christian McCaffrey, if his wheels are turning, he's dangerous on the field at any moment because he can catch the ball. He's dynamic. When you get the ball in his hands, he's dynamic. And that's a good thing for Baker. But knowing what I know about him, he's a guy who likes to fire the ball down the field. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of dial him back a little bit and say, dump it off to your guy. Because we had Kareem Hunt, we had Nick Chubb, and we didn't do a ton of screen stuff or running back in the flat stuff. We just didn't. They were kind of like the third, fourth option, kind of like it's nothing open, then finally dump it off. But when we did get it in there, when we did do that kind of stuff, it always worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Stefanski's a tricky guy. I actually want him as my head coach, man. But we got stuck with Motley Crue. Matt Rule. We got stuck with him. And but Kevin Stefanski, he can be kind of hit and miss. I know with Kirk Cousins, he micromanaged him to a good quarterback. You know what I mean? So I thought he would do the same for Baker. But in our offense, I'm scared. I hope we don't come out loading it up trying to throw deep, because you guys know that's what he does best. You know this. So I think it could be a trap. I actually predicted a pick six from you guys. Ooh. I think, I think you guys may come away with a pick six at some point in this game. But, so you got to be real smart about how you handle him against his former team. If I'm the head coach, I'm going to bait you guys up. I'm going to keep dinking and dunk, because I know he can throw deep. I know that. So eventually you're going to have to choose between, do I just keep solo coverage in Christian McCaffrey, or do I just keep playing zone, or whatever you want to do with Christian, or do I need to come up and help out? And eventually, if we're clicking like I think we can click, you guys are going to have to come up and help out on Christian. That means that's one guy that's taken away from the coverage. That's a hole. You find the hole deep down the field, then you load up on it, but not a moment too soon, because if so, I think it can end up bad for us.
Yeah, I think also from our defensive, we're a little soft up the middle from the defensive line perspective, but obviously, Jadeveon Clowney with Myles Garrett. I know Myles is trying to go after it. He wants to make a mark today, or on Sunday. He wants to do it, especially a lot of eyeballs are going to be on Myles and see what he can do. How's the offensive line there?
Offensive line is a rebuilding structure here. It looks like we brought in Akeem McQuanum, NC State, top draft pick, left tackle, number 6 overall. The crazy thing about it is he's probably the best run blocking left tackle in the draft. But when it comes to his pass blocking scheme, he really got the beats when it came to blocking the New England Patriots. Who was that? Matthew Judon? I think Matthew Judon put the beats on him pretty good. But that's okay, because he's up and coming. I think he's going to hold his own, but it's going to be a terrible mistake, a grave mistake if we have him one-on-one with Myles Garrett. We got Austin Corbett, who was a former LA Rams Super Bowl champion, decent run blocker as well. We brought in Bradley Bozeman from Baltimore, who used to be a guard, graded out as a 70. Now he's a center. He's grading up high over there. Well, he was a center his last year. He was a guard the year before. But now he's playing center for us, but he's been hurt. So this offensive line has been, rebuilt to be serviceable.
Got it.
That's all I can say. And the reason I'm not dispersion, I'm not talking down on them, it's just the fact that we don't know yet. So far, so good, serviceable at most, but it's built to be a well-running machine, built what you guys got with Jedrick Willis and them, man. I mean, that's what we want out of this offensive line.
Switching gears over to the defensive side, knowing that you're going to have to go up against a healthy dose of Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and the rest of our running backs, along with some of the newer weapons that we have out there with Amari Cooper, David Bell, the new wide receiver that we also have, Njoku and stuff like that. So we have a lot of weapons. Plus, we have a fairly well-established offensive line, although it looks like our right tackle is probably not going to play, and we've got our centers out for the entire season, so we're going with backup center. But in terms of your defense, how do you see the Panthers? Because everybody that I talked to on the Brown side is saying, hey, listen, we got to respect the Panthers defense. They're a lot better than what I think people think of them as. But hearing it directly from a fan like yourself, tell me about the defense and how they match up against us.
Well, let me start off by saying, go, dog, sick 'em, woo, woo, woo. Shout out to Nick Chubb, Georgia Bulldog. Anyway, I always do that.
I'll take that all day long, man.
I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan. I can't help it, man. But look, our defensive line, you guys going to have to really watch out for Brian Burns. That matchup with Jedrick Willis and Burns, that's going to be a fun one. Because this guy can bend corners. I mean, he gets low. He can spin. He's so quick. Yeah. There's a reason why they call him Spider-Man. He's so quick. I don't care how big and strong you are. You're going to have a hard time catching him, first of all. So I do expect Burns to get a couple sacks off that edge, even though I think you guys will win in the run game. We're like you guys. We're kind of soft in the middle. We brought in Matt Ioannidis from the Washington Commodores, and we got Derrick Brown right there. Now, I didn't know you guys' center was out, and that's not good for you guys, because I think Derrick Brown's going to have a field day with your backup. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the right tackle being out, we got Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State 2 years ago. He was hurt last year, but he did have some playing time, and he did decent before he got hurt. So that's going to be an interesting matchup as well. Really, this game is going to be won on who can stop the run. That's how this game is going to be won here, man. So knowing that you guys got some key pieces out, I'm starting to feel a lot more better about this game. Now, if you guys had your full arsenal offensive linemen, The Panthers struggle, man. They gave up over 4.4 yards per carry last year when it comes to running, stopping the run game. So Nick Chubb, if I'm not mistaken, he averages 5.5. So you do the math. Somebody gives you 4.4, you averaging 5. It's not a good recipe right there, man. So if I had to say, based off everything that I know now, I still think we're going to do decent. But it won't surprise me if this game is a lot closer than what people don't think, man. I think this could be a 2 or 3 point game if you slow down the tempo, control the run game. As far as the secondary, you said David Bell and Amari Cooper. Listen, we probably got
fair. That's fair. We got to see it too. It's like these are new faces for us.
Yeah, we got a hell of a secondary, man. We got young Gamecock J.C. Horn from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Dante Jackson, he's, actually Dante Jackson is better on bigger receivers. It's crazy because the guy runs a 4.3. You would think 4.3 will match up with 4.3, but it doesn't work like that. I mean, for whatever reason, quicker guy give him a hard time. You put him on a bigger body receiver, maybe like Amari Cooper, he's all right. He's okay. Now, not to mention that, on top of that, we got 2 safeties in Xavier Woods and Jeremy Chin, man. So I love our secondary. Not really worried about you guys passing on anybody passing on us this year.
Right on. Awesome. Now tell me about special teams, because like you said, I mean, if this is going to come down to all, like 2-3 points, kicking a field goal, an extra point could be the difference here. And by the way, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people believe. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Oh, yeah. So talk to me about the special teams side of the ball with Carolina Panthers.
Well, you had to bring that up, didn't you? Well, there's a little problem going on in Carolina. We just had a kicker who injured himself on the sideline of a preseason game warming up. Yeah, hurt his hamstring. He's on IR, Zane Gonzalez. We brought in Eddie Pinero, who was a former Jet and former Chicago Bears kicker. But he does have familiarity with our special teams coach, man. So they work together in Chicago. But he's dealing with a hip and back injury. But he said he feels fine. So I don't know what's going on in the Carolina's locker room, but they're saying on one thing on the injury report. Now the next thing they're saying everybody's fine. Somebody's lying. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on, but it could come down to a field goal game. And if these guys are really dinged up like they say they're dinged up, it could be a problem. Now in the return game, we do got a veteran in Andre Roberts and a Pro Bowler, 2-time Pro Bowler. If he breaks one, it could be night for you guys. Not to mention, we got another quick start up-and-coming sophomore by the name of Shy Smith from South Carolina. Another fast guy, man. So, listen, if we break one on a punt or kick return, it really won't surprise me. If we miss a field goal, it won't surprise me. So, like I said, we may see some things. I'm not wishing anything bad on my team, but it could be one of the two of those situations.
Awesome. Give me a score prediction.
Oh, man, let's see. 24-17 us, man. I really think, man, I think Nick Chubb is going to be a load. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think our team is going to force you guys to throw the ball. At some point, I think early in the game, you guys are going to punch us in our mouths. You're going to punch us in the mouths. You may get a touchdown on the ground. You may feel good about yourselves. And maybe later in the game, you get another touchdown on the ground. But I think at some point, you're going to have to open up that passing game. And like I told you, our secondary is our strongest part of our team. And I don't see it working out for you guys. 24-17 Panthers.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I respect that. I just did a YouTube short right before this, and I called the exact score Browns, though.
Wow.
So going Brownsy. So I think this is how it looks. I think that it's a coin flip. And I do think it's going to be a couple points here and there. I think it could be a missed kick that could determine it. I don't see this being a blowout either way. I think both teams are decent, and both teams could actually be fighting for a playoff spot. I really do. I think that there's enough talent there, but there's like question marks on both teams. Like you were mentioning about special teams is kind of like iffy, having Baker there, although I personally believe it's a big upgrade over Darnold. It's still, there's still some proving to do on Baker's side. And this is going to be a game that matters to him. This is one of those big ones. There's a lot emotionally riding on this game. Yeah. So I'll tell you this, man. I wish you guys the best of luck. I think it's gonna be a fun game. I'm glad that we're starting. I'm glad we're just getting this thing over with because of the Baker situation, and we can kind of like move on from it. But if this game was in Cleveland, I'd be feeling a lot better about it. The fact that we're going on the road makes me nervous, but it is what it is. So I would say that.
Let me ask you a question here, because there's been a lot to do about Baker's character and not only in the character, but the fans and people off the field. So what was the real deal from your perspective when it comes to Baker?
I think that there's a couple things that happened with him when he first came to Cleveland, and we hadn't won a game in a long time, and it was the worst that I'd ever seen the Browns. 1-15, 0-16. Then he comes in. We still haven't won a game. We tied, but we didn't win a game. And then the Jets game, we're down. I think it was 14-3. We're down, and he comes in and wins that game on Thursday night. It was like the biggest. Correct me wrong. I believe it was Thursday night. It might have been Monday night, but it was a primetime game, and everybody embraced him at that point. He was the savior of Cleveland in 2018. Then, we had a rocky 2019 that didn't go well, and he started losing some people. Then 2020 comes around, and he has a decent enough 2020, and a lot of reasons he was helped us get to the playoffs and then win in the playoffs, and then again the next year, the wheels fell off, and a lot of it came down to him, getting injured, and against the Texans, and then his arm about falling off, and he wasn't the same guy. So it was like he never had a chance to like build upon momentum. Like rookie year, everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is our guy. We finally got our franchise guy." Sophomore year, really not good. Junior year, great again. Playoff, this is it. We're off. We're off and running. And then the last year, it was just he failed to meet those expectations, and so a lot of the fans, and I'm not saying all of them, a lot of the fans felt about him that there was, the on the field stuff was disappointing the last year. The TV commercials felt a little unearned. That he was on Hulu and Progressive, and it was just like back to back to back. And if you think about it, like who are the quarterbacks that are getting those big commercials? Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, guys who've won the chip already, and then you get Baker, and you're like, all right, and there's a lot. Baker is a polarizing guy. You either love him or you don't. It's very little in between. And I think a lot of the things that he did, his relationship with the media and stuff like that, hurt it. And he didn't do himself a lot of favors by the way he responded to some people and the way he acted. And you know what? This is what you're getting with Baker. You're getting a guy who's been told his entire life that he's not good enough. He doesn't belong. He shouldn't have it. They want to give it to somebody else, whether that was the scholarship going into college, whether that was the starting job that he got, whether that was the Heisman Trophy. Everybody said this isn't the person that we should give this to. The number one pick in the draft. Everybody said that about him, and he just consistently goes out there and proves them wrong. It's not always pretty, and there have been some moments in the pros that have been not great, but there have also been some really shining moments. And for me, I appreciate Baker for what he did for Cleveland and for what he did for the Browns. It got us to where we are now. But I also understand that there are fans that have a completely negative view of him, and nothing will change that. They've made up their mind. He's garbage. He's awful. He's terrible. And that's what it is. Anybody who really thinks back on it can go, listen, this guy is like, he is what he is. He wasn't Josh Allen, unfortunately. He hasn't had the success of Josh Allen, didn't have the success of like Lamar Jackson, came in that same class. And he obviously outplayed Darnold and Rosen, but he's the third one in that class, and he was the first overall pick. If we would have picked him 11th, it would be probably a different story, right? But it was what it was. So I think most Browns fans have an appreciation for him, who are thinking about it realistically. And for the ones who completely hate him and wrote him off and just think he's trash, you know what? This is a good year for him to go out there and prove it for you guys, earn that respect from you guys, get that long-term contract, and shut everybody up about it. That's it.
Fact. That's kind of like Cam Newton with us, man. After that Super Bowl, man, a lot of people just really, they kind of either felt some kind of way, man, because he started doing the fashion and getting into his hats, and then, he would get into with the media where people will misquote him, and it was just a real train wreck, man. If he wins that Super Bowl, I think this fan base probably has a little bit more respect. I mean, you got to listen. A lot of people, they love Cam. And there's a lot of fans that still love Cam, but it's kind of like divided. Panther Nation is divided because as many people love him, a lot of people just can't stand the guy for the off-the-field antics and the Super Bowl, just to mention, not jumping on the ball, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, but you think about it like this. How many quarterbacks out there are just universally loved?
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And how many are? Like, even people complain about Pat Mahomes because of his brother and his wife is kind of a maniac. And then you got like Aaron Rodgers going on podcasts, with his holistic medicine and everything, whatever he's got going on in his world. Anyway, Tua down in Miami, Tom Brady, who looks like somebody cloned him. He doesn't even look like the same Tom Brady. I mean, like, nobody is universe. And then our situation with Deshaun Watson, who anybody, if you just look at it in a vacuum and go, Browns got Deshaun Watson now. That's a big upgrade.
Big upgrade.
It's a big upgrade. Deshaun Watson is for real, and he's going to win a lot of football games. But then you got the off-field stuff that you got to put in the back of your mind and compartmentalize, like the Steelers did with Ben Roethlisberger. So, they're all maniacs in one way or another. That's how I look at it. They're all crazy people, and you got to just live with whoever you got. And you're probably similar to me. I'm rooting for Laundry at this point. I don't live in a world where I think these guys are rainbows and, unicorns, and they're just like super perfect human beings. I've been around enough athletes to know like what these guys are doing.
That's a fact.
So I just try to say, listen, go out and win football games, and that's all I care about. I'm not trying to, learn life lessons from you. Just go win football games, and we'll be happy.
Well, like I said, if you're looking for a deity, go to church. You know what I mean? Because I don't look to God for no athletes. Like I said, if you want a sandwich, you go to the Subway. You go to the sandwich shop. You want a burger, you go to Burger Bar. You know what I mean? So the problem is the fans got to stop expecting certain things out of these athletes, whether it be a role model, whether it be, off the field, you know what I mean? Those guys are still humans at the end of the day. I really don't care as long as, as long as it's nothing too egregious. Now, let me hold off on that, But for the most part, you win. Who cares,
Yeah. At the end of the day, there's systems in place that will make those determinations that get paid a lot of money to do that, whether it's the legal system, the courts, the judges, the juries, whether that is the NFL itself, the league, whether it's the individual teams. There are systems in place to say, listen, if there's something happens, they don't play. Deshaun's paying the price. Back in the day, similar situation. Well, not exactly like Deshaun, but a similar situation where he was vilified in the public. A guy like Mike Vick, who I went to college with, he went out there and he was the most vilified guy in professional sports for a long time. Then he goes, does his time, comes back, goes to the Eagles, lights it up, and a lot of it's forgotten. You score touchdowns on the NFL field. Everybody has a short memory of the things you do. No, honestly, no matter how bad it is, whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. But punishments are there to be served. Once they're served, I say let them go, let them do the thing.
Yeah, Deshaun's gonna be all right, man. I know it's a lot of moving parts to what he did and shit, or what he was going through. So I'm not saying the women are completely honest or whatever, and I'm not saying he's completely innocent, but things happen. That's what I'm just trying to say for the most part.
Yeah, I honestly, I talk about this a lot. I've been talking about it for months, and I think from a Browns fan perspective, it's like, look, we only have the information that's out there. That's it. And if the grand juries didn't indict him, and they didn't, there was nothing like that. He's not going to have any issues like that, and the league issued the punishment. It is what it is. We all move on from that, and we got to wait now 11 games. We got to wait till week 13 to get him in, and then we'll see what happens at that point, because the man hasn't played football in a year and 2 quarters. So we'll see what goes on there. But anyway, Big Katt, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Very welcome.
I appreciate the insight into the Panthers world. I truly do, because now I feel like I kind of have an idea of what to expect going into the game this Sunday. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, I love it. I would love to have you coming back on as well. Like next time we get together, man, next time Browns and the Panthers, like you're coming back on this show.
Most definitely, man. I'm here, man. I'm game for it. Beautiful.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, do all the stuff, and go Browns.
Keep pounding.
All right.